Franklin Richards versus Legion, a battle of two reality warpers. Who's gonna win? I know some people think this is contentious, but Legion takes this quite handily. Every feat you can name for Franklin, Legion has either done or outperformed, and I'll show you this in this video. Let's start off with Fantastic Four 574. We see a young Franklin create a baby universe. Legion's been creating universes for who knows how long at this point, but this comic is just one instance. Verbatim noted that inside this box Legion holding is creation itself. Using his powers takes in the raw stuff of universes to rebuild the 616 timeline. I said there's other instances, but that's a solid one right there. Fantastic Four, issue 600. We see a young Franklin manipulate reality with just his thoughts. Franklin, reality is a plaything. Reality is also a plaything to Legion as well. Uncanny X-Men Volume 5, not only is Legion admitting to creating the Age of Apocalypse timeline, he also notes to creating the X-Man himself. X-Man as in Nate Gray, another high-tier reality warper. That's his daddy. One thing about Franklin, at least his younger counterpart, it's noted he has set limits. Franklin can create universes, but in this instance here, he couldn't do it on his own. He needed Molecule Man's help. Even in more recent comics, Franklin notes that things beyond the observable universe are low-key out of his reach, and verbatim noting, he can't see everything. Getting on to the previous point, I'm gonna do 2 in 1. We have seen Franklin Richards travel through time, but on a linear scale. Compare this to Legion, it's just not in the same ballpark. Legion's able to travel across the multiverse, verbatim noted to be every option ever taken. Once he's able to traverse these infinite, forever being created tendrils, ends up meeting a future version of himself that consumes everything there is. This is going to be important later on. Yeah, when it comes to time manipulation, moving through the time stream, etc., Legion's just the superior. Could make the notion, like adult Legion did here against his grandfather, they could stop Legion from time traveling, but you have to prove to me that he has more power than Legion does. Don't get me wrong, Franklin has the potential to move beyond one linear timeline, one linear universe. He mentions over time he was able to create his very own multiverse. This is the future, like a future version of his adult self. This yet again is just catching up to what Legion's already done. Show you an even greater gap of power between the two. Remember the World Worm, the thing that was going to consume all infinite timelines? X-Men Legacy issue 24, Legion absorbs all his personalities into one, finally becoming whole. Now that he can use his powers as he pleases, he once again goes outside the entire multiverse. And not only that, erases himself from the narrative. Legion's not only making sure he was never born, he's making sure his story was never created. This is shown through the destruction of the comic panel, leaving nothing but white space. Even after the attempt of trying to wipe away his story, Legion lived. King Gray backs this up verbatim with this statement here. HeadofX gave reinforced in X-Men Blue Origin to see aspects of Legion travel through different stories as he pleases. Noting things like he's not important to this specific story, again reinforcing that he can just travel between different stories and or narratives, whatever you want to use. Not only is the scale of Legion's powers different from Franklin, a universal to a multiversal being at a minimum, Legion just has more in his bag. One thing he could potentially give Franklin is his fights with higher cosmic entities. Fantastic Four 604. This dude casually teleports Celestials around, one-shotting them, even making Galactus his herald. Follows up by one-shotting yet another Celestial. Don't get me wrong, Legion does have battles against cosmic entities. It really depends on how you stack them against each other. For example, New Mutants issue 21. By having numerous Omega level mutants, Magic, a Hell Lord, etc., they call upon Legion, the God Mutant, to handle Elder Gods. Handle them he does by erasing them out of existence completely. In a more recent fight against Uranos, and fight a level beyond physics, dueling with possibilities, fighting with futures and abstraction. Started trillions of variables, crushed multiverses, plural multiverses, in potentia, in another word, force. Competed an infinite amount of ways in a finite amount of time. In fact, only in 10 seconds. Again, the scale of Legion's powers are just beyond what Franklin has shown currently. A multiversal to a creation level threat if you want to really push him there, when he manipulates the narrative, to someone who's typically bound to a universe. Franklin's definitely powerful in his own right, he just doesn't sit up there with the God Mutant yet. Just to further reinforce my notion that Legion's more powerful, HeadofX issue number 8. Everything we've seen from Legion so far is not him at his full power. He's been holding back his transcendence this entire time.